Hello, everybody. Welcome to Self-Publishing Insiders. I'm Jim Azevedo. I have the good fortune to lead the marketing team here at Draft Digital, and I have the even better fortune to welcome today's guest, Becca Syme. Hi, Becca.
Hi. Hi. I'm still dancing to the original intro music in my head. That was very chill. That was a good
Isn't
one.
it?
Yeah.
It just kind of gets you ready, gets you in the mood for the talk that we're going to have today, gets us all
Yeah.
fired up. So, for people who are new to the podcast, this is Becca Syme's third appearance, the second this year. It seems like the last time you were here was, well, it was kind of a long time ago in indie publishing time, about 8 months ago or so. But today we've got a lot to unpack. So I mean, I'm not going to waste a bunch of time. Let me give a little bit of your background so those who are not familiar with Becca Syme can learn a little bit more about you. Today I'm excited because we're going to talk about what to quit, what to keep, and how to thrive in today's rapidly changing indie publishing world. Becca's a success coach. For those of you who don't know her, she specializes in author success alignment. She is the founder of the Better Faster Academy and host of the Quitcast for Writers podcast. She has coached, now get this, she has coached more than 6,000 individual authors. These include newbies, mid-list authors, and 6- and 7-figure authors as well. And she's also a nonfiction and fiction author herself. So, Becca, welcome back. So good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I love PS that this is live. One of my favorite parts is actually getting to talk to the writers who are in the chat. And so welcome everyone who's live. You miss out, I think, if you don't watch it live because you get to really interact with us when you're here. I'm excited for this.
Yeah, it should be fun. And hopefully there will be no dogs barking. Just, Zaya is under my feet at the moment. So, Becca, for listeners who might be new to your work, can you give us a quick overview of who you are and what you do? I know I just mentioned it in the bio, but just a little bit more from your perspective.
Yeah, I care a lot about why things happen and why they don't happen. So if somebody is asking me a question about their author success, my first thing that I'm looking for is what's causing this. So not why, purpose why or why we might want things to happen or think, but what is the actual cause and effect that's making this happen? And I think a lot of what people look for when they study success, especially when people don't understand kind of the complexity of what causes events to take place, they want things to have really simple causes that are very controllable and very easy to sort of navigate and understand. And so often the reasons why things happen are extremely complicated and they have no singular, no direct cause. And so understanding how to operate in a publishing industry that is very complex, where everyone wants it to be simple. So they often give you quick answers that are usually wrong about why things are happening. And I kind of got obsessed in my early years in publishing with understanding why, why do I do these things? Why do these things happen with, say, Amazon or, distributors or the economy or the market? And then why do things happen inside of me? What's causing things to happen in my brain? So that's kind of what I offer as a success coach. Is I get a little bit obsessed with trying to know why something is happening and how you might be able to either change it or adapt to it if you can't change it.
I love that because in the description of the first book in the Dear Writer series, you say at the end of the description, and I love this, it's always kind of stuck out with me. You've said, anyone can tell you what worked for them. And of course, they can say, quote, it might not work for you, but they can't tell you why. I can tell you why.
Yep. I get obsessed with why. Because when somebody says, just as a for instance, well, I changed my covers and it made my book sell better, then if you assume that that is a true singular action, cause and effect rule, then everyone who changes their covers should sell better in terms of if you go more to market in your covers, etc. But what is on the cover of a book is only one part of what makes things sell or not sell.
Mhm.
And you can't always identify the fact that that was actually the only thing that made the book sell better. It may be all kinds of different things that happen in alignment, or it may be accidental, or it may, you know what I mean? Like there's so
Mhm.
many different things that might be the cause of why things happen.
Gotcha. So can I take you back to the beginning?
Yep.
All right. I want to know about what inspired you to first write Dear Writer, You Need to Quit. And did the book come before the Better Faster Academy?
No, actually, the academy had been going for quite a while. I had been
Okay.
coaching for a long time before that. And the reason the book happened is because I had some clients who I'd been working with who were trying to tell other people the things that I had told them in coaching. And
Mhm.
they were like, you know what, it'd be a lot easier if you just had a book that I could give to people as like a URL to Amazon. And I'm like, okay, great. I don't love writing the sort of 10 easy steps books because they don't work for most people, or the like, I didn't just want to contribute something to sort of self-help for authors. That wasn't my goal. But what they told me was, when they hear stories about the things that have happened in coaching as a result of understanding yourself better, understanding the industry rules better,
Mhm.
that finding specific stories about how things have worked have helped them. So, sort of doing case studies,
Mhm.
or drawing a rule that could apply to certain people because of something they all have in common. The very narrow commonality can help to predict what might happen for those people. And I was like, well, that I could do. Like, I could do a book that was basically customized into, if this is you, don't do this. If this is you, don't do this. If this is you, do this. So it was a very customized book that I wrote, but it was because the people that I was coaching wanted to be able to talk about the quit work, I guess, with
Mhm.
other people. And I had already had the Write Better Faster course that was extremely popular at the time. So I didn't really need something else to do. I had enough to do, but people needed to be able to share the methodology with someone else. And so I wrote the book, and it literally, the rest is history in terms of like, I never intended for what happened to happen, but it very much became a takeoff point for me.
Okay. Is all the wisdom in the book and some of the takeaways in the book, is that all kind of related, or maybe I should say embedded in the foundation of so the Gallup coaching?
Not in the sense of, it's not about strengths. Like, the book
Mhm.
itself is not about strengths. It's sort
Okay.
of the lessons learned from applying a strengths mindset. So
Gotcha.
the strengths mindset, and I think I talked about this on a previous episode, but I'll say it again because I think it bears repeating.
Sure.
The strengths mindset comes out of these experimentation phases that they did early on, where they were realizing just how much better, faster you could get if you narrowed your focus into only the things that you're good at. And they have that reader speeds example that we give a lot, where they had two groups that went through the same speed reading course, and the average talent group ended up at 150 from 90. Like, they went from 90 to 150 words a minute. The above average group started off at 350 with no teaching previously about it, and they got to 3,000 words a minute in their speed reading with the same course that had taken the other people from 90 to 150. And if you really understand how to apply the methodology that strength sort of explains to you, it is, stop doing the 90 to 150 stuff. For the love of God, please stop.
Mhm.
Like, stop trying to be better at stuff that you are going to be at best average at, and instead try to
Guilty.
focus your time. Yeah, like, focus your time on things where you have a higher probability of return. And that's really where my mindset comes from. Like, I just don't think that it's, I don't think that it's wise to listen to people without taking into context how you might be different from them.
Yeah, that's perfect. I was fortunate to attend your excellent session at Author Nation last week, and I remember that exact example that you gave about the speed reading. I was just like speed writing, trying to take down all the notes during
Yeah.
that class. It just made so much sense to me. I feel that, at least personally, like I can't always do that, especially when I'm talking about the day job. But when it comes to writing, that makes perfect sense. That's such good advice.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So when that first book came out, it seemed to like challenge a lot of conventional wisdom out there. Do you recall what kind of reactions you got at the time?
Oh, yeah.
This is 7
Oh,
years ago,
yeah.
right?
And I still have people who, in fact, I just recorded a podcast last night with an old friend who
Mhm.
she has eventually become my friend. But she was like, when I first saw that book title, I was like, zero. I'm never reading that book because, of course, the book was like, "Dear writer, you need to quit."
Yeah.
And she was immediately challenged by that. And thankfully, she was
It's
like,
a
"Well, I
provocative
always read
title.
things that challenge me." So
Yeah.
then she read it and loved it. But there were so many people who didn't like the title because they thought that they're like, but quitting is a bad thing. And this is one of my absolute like catchphrase moments is quitting is the best thing you can do for your career. Because if you try to do everything that everybody tells you to do and you never stop doing any of it, then you're going to spend a ton of time doing stuff that's completely useless for you, especially if you never allow yourself to narrow. But what
Mhm.
I'm never trying to do is to encourage people to quit writing.
Yeah.
That's definitely not my goal. And I think
Yeah.
that's what people thought I was
Oh,
talking
I'm
about.
sure. Well, the first time I came across the title, I was kind of like, yeah, because I remember being stuck in a corporate job that I absolutely
Yes.
hated. It was soul sucking. And I finally resigned from it. And it was like, at the time, it was the most terrifying thing, but it was also the best thing. And so I kind of thought that that's what you were inferring just by reading the title. And it turns out I may have been right.
Yeah. I want people to quit the things that don't serve them. Right. And like, I want that to be the methodology that we use to identify what's worth us doing and what isn't. And I know, like, I'm seeing some of the questions float by, and one of the questions was sort of like, what do I do to get more of this thing if I'm doing this? And I'm sometimes my answer to that, not saying it is to this person, but
Mhm.
sometimes my answer to that is don't do anything different from what you're doing. Just have patience that if you continue to find the people who like your stuff, that and you continue to write books, that you'll continue to grow. Because so often what we do is we get nervous that it's not growing fast enough, and then we look around at what everyone else is doing and we try to add everything, right? It's like, let me just keep adding stuff because I'm so worried that if I don't sell right now, there's something wrong with me not selling. When the reality is, if you look at the veteran perspective, right? The people who've been in this for a long time, everybody who's been doing this for forever understands, like, it is so patient required.
Mhm.
Like, it requires you to be okay letting things grow slowly. And if you release a book and it doesn't go the way that you want it to allow it to be that way and move on and write the next book and then focus on trying to promote the next book differently. But there isn't always a way that we can like fix a past sales record the way that I think a lot of people would prefer that we could. And that feels really uncomfortable. So sometimes my advice is don't do anything different. Write the next book and do something different on the next launch rather than trying to do something different promoting the stuff that's currently available. But that again is hard for some of us to internalize.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good advice. Going back and trying to fix things rather than going forward and making the next step better. So we are, is it 7 years since that first book came out?
Yep. 7 years this fall, I finished it. And then actually, I think it was, yep, 7 years this fall. Yep.
Okay, so why now? Why are we revisiting this topic today? The dear
Yeah.
writer, you still need to quit.
Yeah. I feel like 2017 was sort of the end of the gold rush. And so a lot of what I
Mm.
was doing was talking to authors who were releasing in the middle of the gold rush and trying
Mhm.
to understand that you can't just do everything that everyone is doing and expect it to work. Like, you really need to narrow down and do, yeah, yes, Alyssa's correct. Because people still don't want to quit. They still don't want to quit doing the things that are not serving them because they are afraid of what happens if they quit. Like, the thing that I get a lot that I still got in 2017 and I'm still getting in 2025 is I feel like I have to do social media when the metrics on the effectiveness of social media marketing are so abysmal, and they've always been abysmal. Actually, since I started doing this job, they've been abysmal. But we still keep convincing everybody that because social media is a free service, that somehow we have to take advantage of the free service because it's free, not accounting that our time is not free, right, to us. But so things like that, where we still haven't heard the lessons because we are still afraid of what happens if we quit. And so a big portion of this current book is to say, there are certain phases that you can be in your author career where the larger, the more infrastructure related, more investment related decisions are not for us yet. And 80 to 90% of authors are actually in the research and development phase still, where they're not making 100% over their investment back yet. So if I'm not in a space where I'm making 100% over my investment back yet, I haven't found a big enough demand pocket that it will justify me making a lot of the decisions people want to make, like jumping into audio, jumping into translations, jumping into direct sales, like doing some of the things people want to make to try to sell, because they're being told that these things should help you if you're an author, with no choice architecture around that at all. But who does direct sales actually benefit? Who do translations and audio actually benefit? Is that really a discovery tactic for phase one authors? No, it's not. It's an investment tactic for infrastructure phase. So just even understanding something like that, that's not a common knowledge, is an important thing that I feel like we're still getting into. All the things we need to quit. It's like there's more things to quit now than there ever has been. And there's more fear about letting things go than there ever has been.
Yeah, good point. It's so overwhelming, especially for the newer authors who are coming into the industry, because there's just so much coming out. That when we saw it last week at the Author Nation conference, there's so much information to be had. It's even overwhelming for those of us who have been in the industry for a long time. The amount of new tools, tactics, companies, and so forth can be overwhelming. That makes perfect sense. Let me bring up a quick question from the audience, Becca.
Sure.
This is from Beth. Hi, Beth.
Hi,
Beth asks, I do wonder what experience you have with people who have chronic illnesses and what impact that might have on strengths.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think a lot of people wonder if either chronic illness or neurodivergence impacts your strengths. And it doesn't change the strengths that you have, but of course it can impact how you use them, right? Like it can impact, if I have chronic illness and I have even a high activator, which is, activators are the catalyzers, right? Where I'm like, I want to act and act and act and act. Well, a high activator with chronic illness may not be able to activate at the same level that an activator without chronic illness can activate, but it doesn't mean that person is not still an activator. They're still feeling the internal pressure to be active, to catalyze things. And it still is the strongest thing about them. So you can have any strength as someone with either chronic illness or neurodivergence, but it is going to impact how you're able to utilize them for sure.
Interesting. Would you be able to give us a sneak peek into what the new Quit book explores that readers might not expect?
Yeah, so I'm talking a lot in the new book about pretty practical stuff, like about I think a lot of people expect mindset stuff from me, so that's not a surprise, right? Like that, that you're going to get mindset stuff from me. But I'm really interested in this book to do a lot of very practical, like we had a question from the audience about what's one thing that younger phases, early phase authors could quit. And that's exactly the kind of thing that I want to get into in both the workbook here and also in the book itself, because I feel like when I give general advice, like don't do things that aren't for phase one, but you don't know what is for phase one, like what's the purpose of phase one. It can be hard to apply that. So I think my hope is to try to be as specific as possible, and then always with the caveat, unless you feel really, really excited about doing the thing that I tell you to quit. Like some people will definitely uh, uh, balk at the idea of social media, and some people get really excited about it. And if you're one of the really excited people, please feel free to do it if you'd like to, but follow your intuition in that way.
So if it's just like soul sucking and zapping all your energy, then you're like, hey, you might want to give this up and carry on with something else.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Can we shift gears a little bit and talk about what's going on with this Kickstarter campaign of yours that is just doing really, really well? So what made you choose crowdfunding as the publishing path for this release?
Yeah, I'm such a community person, so I really like getting the community around me excited about things. And I think there's something about like, let's all do this together, and isn't this exciting and fun? Where like I get to go around to all my favorite podcasts and talk to my friends about what it is that's going on in the publishing world right now. Yeah, like it's fun. This hour that we get to spend together is like, this is a hangout time for me, right? Because like you're my friend, and I feel like the people who are here are my friends, and so we're just chatting all together, like we're all at coffee, and that kind of stuff is really fun for me. And I think we authors also need more of that. Like, I think we need more things to get excited about and to look forward to, and to feel like we're being helped and feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel and all that stuff. So I very much love Kickstarter. I got to meet Oriana, who's the head of Kickstarter publishing, at Author Nation last week. And it was just like, I love her. I love the enthusiasm of the team. So I love Kickstarter, and I will probably use Kickstarter once or twice a year for the rest of my career.
Yeah, it's not your first rodeo with this book. How many have you done so far?
This is my third launched. We have one more that's coming out at some point in the year as well. So yeah, I love Kickstarter.
Okay, so let me ask you, with this current campaign, what's been the most rewarding or surprising part of running it so far?
Actually, this is both surprising to me, and it was surprising to other people who I was standing with Oriana from Kickstarter, and we were talking about like, what are the things that increase the most likelihood of people funding on Kickstarter? And she said physical rewards were the biggest thing. And I had done this whole Kickstarter around like, well, let's not worry about tariffs and printing and all that. So let's just do a digital rewards Kickstarter. Except I was going to do these vinyl albums, that I had a local printer who was like a local person who was going to do these vinyl albums. So I'm like, we'll do just that. And Oriana was like, well, everybody wants this like physical stuff that they can hold, right? And I was like, oh, I had no idea how big of a deal it was. Yeah, we had the biggest requests that like, we've had so many people write in and request, like, I really wish that you would do the physical decks. We've done card decks at both of the previous Kickstarters. I really wish you do the physical books again. Like, we missed getting these things in the mail. And so I'm like, well, we really screwed up by not waiting until we had all the shipping stuff figured out before we launched. But I've still got 2 weeks left, so we can add in those physical rewards. And we did, I met with Dana at Inkfluence, and I got embossed covers and sprayed edges for this particular cool Kickstarter. And we're also doing a printed deck with a special collector's edition cover and card on it. And that's the kind of stuff that people want on Kickstarter. And I just had no idea that it was such a big deal. I was like, oh, but we're providing the value and the crowd and the enthusiasm. But it's like, no, people want to hold stuff. So
what's your takeaway from that, Becca? I mean, what is your takeaway?
It fascinates me that that's such a big deal, and that we've seen such an increase since we released the embossed covers. Like, we basically went from our first stretch goal to our second one in like one day, because we released these embossed covers. And I was like, oh boy, well, I guess people like they want to feel like a part of something. And I don't know if we feel like a part of something in the same way when it's not a physical thing that we're looking forward to holding. And of course, like getting stuff in the mail is always fun. And I think people really want to be like, have that memory of having participated in this thing, that they get the thing in the mail. So we will be remembering that for all future campaigns for sure.
Yeah, I'm not so sure it's just a Kickstarter phenomenon. I mean, because I was going through your Kickstarter and reading through the pages and reading the comments and seeing that too. Like, oh, I'm like, she made a vinyl album for the book.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then people
Yeah.
clamoring for the playing cards. I thought that was a really cool idea, but they were digital, and they're like, no, we want the real thing.
They did. They were like, we need the physical playing card. So I'm like, well, we scrambled really quick. We found a US printer, and then I just was like, okay, we're just going to do this and we'll add it on for everybody. And now all of a sudden people are like, oh, let's go back to the Kickstarter because we want the deck. And so now hopefully we'll be able to get the word out enough that we added that on, that, you know, more people will back it. So we'll see.
And I'm hearing this from more and more authors out there, and not just bestsellers, but their fans. They want something to take away. Like you said, were you at Reader Nation as well? Yeah, you were there. Yeah. So, I mean, readers love getting their hands on a book, even a bookmark, or just something that they can have from one of their favorite authors to carry around and display back at home. So I just think it's really exciting.
Yeah, I feel like even just as I go through Kickstarter myself and like I peruse things, I will admit, like it takes a very special digital only product to get me excited about it. And I never thought about it until Oriana made that comment. And now I'm like, well, I guess it's decks for everybody, you know, like, yeah, the trophies on the bookshelves. I think that's really it. Like we want to display the fruit of our labor, right? Like behind
Absolutely.
it. Yeah.
Yep. Another question here from the audience. This one is from Stephanie. Stephanie, thank you for your question. Stephanie asks, you say audiobooks aren't good to pursue during the R&D phase. Is that just because of the cost? What about services like 11 Reader, which are free or inexpensive?
Yeah, I'm a fan of authors making the decisions that are best for them. If you feel like this is a free option and I can do this easily and I think it's a good product, then I'm totally okay with that. Just know it does require, if you're going to sell it, it requires mechanisms to sell, right? So if you're going to have, and this is more for the investment of like a human narrated audiobook, right? Where you are paying a narrator to narrate a book. And so therefore now you have to make back the product money, right? And it requires you to create infrastructure around making that money back, because it's no longer just enough to send people to a page. Now you have to worry about making back the investment of all the original ebook and print book stuff. And now you also have to make back the audiobook stuff. So for me, audiobooks as a no has more to do with the cost and the infrastructure of continued selling. But mostly for me, it is so much time and it's so much effort to do some of these things, like to add this additional level, that unless you know that your readers are there for it and that it's going to increase the likelihood of you selling more, I don't know that it's always worth the time and money if you're paying money. But even for me, I don't know that it would be worth the time. But also, I have a desire for the quality of the product to be so high that it would be hard for me to find something, to release something that I wasn't like, this is the best quality product that I could do. So I haven't looked into any of the stuff that's free at all, just because for me, like I have an expectation about what I want the product to be like. And so I don't know about that, but I would be more likely to say, please go ahead and do it in the R&D phase. If it doesn't take you much time to do it, if it's free, like if that's something that you want to do, but it is an additional, like every revenue stream requires work to make it sell. This is the thing. I don't think that authors understand. Like when we're adding additional revenue streams, you don't just put it up and then it's just going to magically sell. Like you have to make that stuff sell. So if you have books that are not currently selling And it sounds like for Stephanie's question, maybe more like, if my readers that are current readers want an audio version of my book and I can do it for free, should I do it? I would say, go ahead. If that's what you want to do, if it feels like that is a good investment of your time, absolutely do that. If it is, I think I'm going to be able to make an audiobook that's going to make my book sell more than it sells an ebook. That's not like, audiobooks are infrastructure. They are not discovery tools. Even though people say it's discovery, and every once in a while you find a unicorn who actually did not do well in ebook and then did well in audio, the majority of people, the vast majority of people who sell well in ebook sell well in audio because they sold well in ebook. So yeah, I would say I'm not as worried about it if you don't have to make the investment back, but it is still time, and it does still require you to sell it if it's going to make money for you, if it's going to be a real investment.
Okay, good answer. That makes sense. For any authors out there who might be maybe thinking about doing a Kickstarter out there, and it might feel overwhelming, especially if you haven't been doing this for years and years and years, you don't have that kind of a foundational background, or maybe you feel that your readership isn't where it needs to be. So for those authors who are curious about using Kickstarter to fund or to launch their next books, what advice would you give them, to those authors who might be considering that route, perhaps for the very first time?
Yeah, I still think that Kickstarters, I wouldn't do them as a method of discovery unless you are writing something that has really, really high shared mental real estate.
Okay.
And shared mental real estate is like I have a series that is mysteries set in the Pride and Prejudice world, because they opened, when Jane Austen's 75 years or whatever changed over, right? Like now anybody can write in that world because it's become part of the public domain. So there's a lot of shared mental real estate around things like Mr. Darcy or Pemberley or Pride and Prejudice, etc. So if I put the word Pemberley, because like I have a Pemberley Vicarage Mysteries series that I'm writing, that when I'm through with all 3 books, we're going to launch the Kickstarter for all 3 books together. And that's a discovery tactic for me, because Pemberley has a high level of shared mental real estate. But because of the volume of stuff on Kickstarter, you can't count on Kickstarter as a discovery engine unless you have some very tropey, very on target, on brand, or very, very common shared mental real estate words that you can put in your title, right? Where people are going to click on your title because of that. Ooh, that's a hook for me.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're doing Kickstarter and you have a fan base of some kind, I would do a very small ask. Like Melissa Storm has a campaign up currently that has 1 level. That is a great idea for people who are overwhelmed by Kickstarter. Just do 1 level. Hers is different because she's doing all digital rewards, but and community stuff. But you could do 1 paperback level, and that's it. All you're offering is the special edition paperback. You don't have to have add-ons. You don't have to do a whole bunch of stuff. All you're doing is trying to see if you have, and we talk about this a little bit in author business phases materials, you're experimenting with whether or not this could be a growth tactic for you. Mm-hmm. But when you experiment with Kickstarter being a growth tactic, you want to experiment with your whole face, right? Like, I don't want to do Kickstarter as an offhanded thing and then hold it accountable for doing something that I'm not spending the time and energy making it do. And I think this is the reason that I want us to quit a lot of things, is I want us to narrow in on the focus of do something and do it completely, like do the full strategy, execute all of the steps so that you know whether it worked or not. But if you are overwhelmed, narrow down, only do 1 thing, only do, like somebody said they did just a digital only Kickstarter. That's excellent. It gives you experience running Kickstarter for the first time. Now you can add a physical level the next time you do it. You can do a special edition paperback. That's great. But I wouldn't try to do it the way everybody else is doing it. Again, quit the things that other people tell you are good unless they are for you and unless they feel intuitively for you. But yeah, I would narrow down and make only small commitments.
Perfect. Okay. I want to bring up a couple of comments here from Alyssa, because I think Alyssa really underscored, I think, what the through line is of our conversation here. Her first comment, she says, louder for the people in the back. Every additional revenue stream requires additional work.
Yep.
Absolutely, positively. And then she follows that up by saying, so everything boils down to scrutinizing your return on energy investment, or being prepared to look at that after the fact.
Yep. Yep. It is, for me, it is the learning experience of being in the research and development phase, is learning whether or not you can handle certain things, right? Like, am I a person who does well with Kickstarters? I may not be. That may be something that's good for everybody else, but not for me. If I try it once and it doesn't work, then I know that's not for me. But I may also be able to nope out on it before even ever having to try it. Like, I may be able to tell just from other people talking about it, like, this is too much. I can't do this. It's not for me. And I would say, listen to that intuition. People who give you like buzzwords and catchphrases about getting out of your comfort zone, like, so often your comfort zone is actually set up to be your zone of genius. And it is not pushing yourself out of your comfort zone that's going to help you. It's being more effective at things that also give you a lot of energy. So I get real energetic talking to people, and then I found ways to make that my stuff, right? Like, how to get paid for doing that, because I like it a lot. There are a lot of things that I really suck at, and I don't do them anymore. Like,
I feel like I've just been given permission to lean more into the things that make me feel comfortable and energized during the day, versus banging my head against a wall to try to move the needle.
Yep.
A quick comment here from Kitty. Kitty says, love your advice, Becca, about narrowing down and going all in, one focus at a time.
Yeah.
Amen.
I'm glad. I don't think that we realize how much that frantic, I have to do everything, that feeling of franticness about like it has to happen in this way, is actually working against us. And what I'd rather see us do is have that settled sort of, okay, I'm going to do this thing and I'm going to do it all the way through. And if other things come up that look really shiny, I'm going to remember, like, I have to give something my whole face. I have to do something, like the whole don't half-ass it, two things, like whole ass one thing. That for me,
I was wondering if you're going to give the half-ass whole ass.
Yes, it's so huge, because I just don't think people realize, like, the multitude of factors that could impact something like Kickstarter success or social media success or whatever. Like, so many of the factors have to do with when you do every single step in a process, like you do everything that people tell you to do when you do a Kickstarter. That's partly because there are different causes that you're hitting for different types of success if you do everything. And if you don't do everything, then you're not getting the results that you could have gotten. And so if we narrow down into only doing very specific things, then for me, that allows us the likelihood of having more success by doing a more full and correct job of like checking the box of, did I try everything, right?
Yeah, I like that. Over the years, what patterns have you noticed in writers who are able to sustain long-term creative success? Is there like a common denominator or common patterns that you've seen?
Yeah. Knowing that it's a long game is almost the differentiator between everyone, because there are a lot of people who have had takeoff success or very fast success, or they get really caught up in the success that they have, and then they make it seem like you have to do everything, and then when you talk to them 3 years later, they've burned out and they are no longer able to do this, right? The goal is to remember, this is a marathon. I have got to keep my energy. I have to protect myself. I have to protect my family and all of my relationships. No amount of success is worth the sacrifice that I'm going to make for my body and my health and my dysregulation and mental health and longevity. Like, I don't just want to do this job for 3 years. I want to still be writing mystery novels when I'm 90. So for me, then I have to protect my hope in the future of publishing. I have to protect the longevity of my career, which might mean that I need to get another job that pays the bills so that I'm not putting the pressure on my author career to pay the bills. Because the more I raise the stakes and force my author career to pay the bills, the more likely it is that at some point I'm going to have to choose between my mental health and my author career.
Yeah, can we talk about that a little bit more, Becca? With life, we always hear about, work-life balance. What are your thoughts on that? But in particular, are there going to be times or seasons when, like, hey, it's going to be a little bit, you're going to have to put in the work and the pendulum's going to swing back eventually, but right now it's hard work, baby. Like, you're going to be stressed out.
Yep, it is. It's so much work. And because I spent so many years coaching burnout, right? Like, because people were burning out. And I spent so many years coaching burnout and being in burnout myself and never realizing just how much I was caught at the throat by this, like, we have to do all these things. Like, we've got to do everything. But the reality is there are very few things we do that actually move the needle. And when we really think about, like, what is Katie Cross did a really great workshop last week where she was talking about systematizing your author career. And she put up this post at the very beginning of, like, her family and the woods outside her house and the her dog and hikes that they've been on. And she said, this is exactly why I do all of this work. Like, I want to be an author. Yes, it's lovely. And yes, the success is amazing, but I do it so that I can have more of this, like more of my family, more time outside, more health, more longevity. So I don't do this author career so that I can have the author career. I do it because I am good at it and I love it, but I do it so that I can have more of this. And when she put that up, I was like, yeah, I don't do my job because I want to work 100 hours a week. Like, I actually want to spend a lot of time with the people that I care about. And I want to watch movies and read books and go on hikes. And, I don't want to get caught up in doing all of the things because I'm caught up in that empathetic sort of, like, the whirlwind of what everyone else thinks is like my one shot. This is not Alexander Hamilton. You know what I mean? Like, we all can have many, 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 many shots in our whole career, and you can have it and lose it and come back again. And you can be a full-time author for a while and then work at Starbucks and then be a full-time author again. Like, there is no such, like, there's no such thing as you get one shot at this. Like, no, you don't. This is not like life or death. You get many, many shots. Like,
that's what I love about this. Right. I was just going to say, that's what I love about this community and being an indie author, because you have the power, you have the control to kind of regulate yourself. You can always ratchet back a little bit. All right. I knew this conversation was going to go by quick. We still have a couple minutes. So let's see. Oh, I know what I wanted to ask you. It was kind of like going back to the life balance a little bit there, but like so you're an author yourself, but you're also a coach and a strategist. How do you, Becca Syme, regulate your time? How do you balance between those two worlds? Okay, write first.
I always write first. And I know not everyone can write first thing in the morning. And so the write first concept becomes, like, if you are a night writer, that means that when you have the best energy of your day, you use that for writing. Like, that's when you're at your best, you use it for writing. And my best energy is about 4:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And so I get up super early and I write for many hours sometimes in the morning. And it's funny because, like, I look forward to that. I cannot wait when I wake up in the morning to like go downstairs and make a little, Nespresso cup and sit with, I can see the sunrise and
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I
cool.
mean? Like I get excited about that. And so my whole methodology, I think, is that I love writing and I don't ever want to not write. So I write with my best time and everything else gets put in wherever it belongs. And that includes everything. Like it includes work, it includes clients. I have emails that I haven't responded to for several days because I write first thing in the morning and I don't change that. I don't use that time for work. I just write. And people can wait to hear from me if they need to hear from me. And I refuse um, to be stressed out by timelines that are not actual life and death timelines.
That is a hard habit to break. So
Yep.
congratulations for doing that. So as we come closer to the end here, I want to know from you, what do you hope readers take away from the new Quit book that perhaps they didn't get out of the first one?
Yeah, I didn't talk enough about sustainability in the first book because we just weren't there yet, right?
Okay.
Like we were still so early in the curve of, even though we were probably like 6 or 7 years into the gold rush, it's so hard to see beyond that space when you're in it. So a lot of mine was like, hey, don't forget that we want to not burn out. Like that was the goal, to not burn out. But then having burned out several times in the last 7 years, I realized that like as I age, I can't continue to burn out. Like I
It's hard to
can't.
recover from. I mean, sometimes it
It's
takes
so
longer to
hard.
recover than other times.
It really does. And like I've had
Mm.
these sort of all systems burnouts that have happened because I have just ignored all of my boundaries. And like I've had times where I haven't been able to write and I've spent like long periods of time where I just don't have the mental fortitude or capacity to write. And because I know that I'm always going to return to it no matter what, I allow myself to just not write for periods of time because sometimes the sustainable choice is actually to just let yourself be and not expect things from yourself. But I think my hope for takeaway is that this is a game that you can choose to play publishing for your whole life, no matter what anybody says.
Yeah.
You can choose to play this, especially if you have an audience already, if you have a newsletter already, you can choose to publish your whole life. You don't always get to choose whether you can make a living writing for your whole life. And so if we focus only on that as the thing that will prove to us that we're successful, then we're not going to live a sustainable life because for some of us that will happen and for some of us it won't. But I know that I'm going to be a writer for my whole lifetime. So that for me is, like my whole goal is just to get people to be authors for their life. And when I'm back in my home office, I have this thing over my shoulder I always point at that says author for life. And that's my goal for all of us, is just remember to make decisions that will protect you being an author for your whole lifetime.
I love that. If I give them the Better Faster Academy /links, so this is going to take everybody. So everybody, you should go and just check out what Becca has to offer through the Better Faster Academy. But if you use this link, where it's betterfasteracademy.com/links, that'll get them over to the Kickstarter campaign as well. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Kickstarter campaign, we have a tour stop game actually. This is one of our final stops on the tour stop game for the Kickstarter.
I want a
And
Becca Syme on tour t-shirt with like all the
yeah,
days.
I feel
Sold
like
out.
we need those. You know what? We have something
Totally.
even better. We have we have these handmade friendship bracelets that my assistant and I made, and we have one that we're going to give out on each tour stop. And so if you go and comment on the tour stop game, you could win one of the, like, I think Loki's in Charge is one of the bracelets, and Write Better Faster and QTP and It Depends and all these things. Author for Life, there's several of those. So we are giving away memorabilia from the Tour Stop game from just this Kickstarter, which I'm very excited about. And you can get to that Tour Stop game on the links link.
Very cool. And I also want to bring up your YouTube link as well. So youtube.com/at Becca Syme, because you've got a ton of really good content there.
Thank you.
As well. Well, you do. I so appreciate your time this morning, Becca. We've gone over a little bit. And I also want to thank everybody who has in the audience. You guys are kind of going off here with the comments and the questions. I so appreciate that. I think it's so fun seeing everybody commenting to each other and getting to know each other in the comment section as well.
I love that.
Always a lot of fun too. Just some quick housekeeping stuff here, Becca. Real quick, for those of you who have joined us today and you've listened or watched the podcast, do us a favor. Share this episode with some of your friends who you believe can get something out of it. That really helps us spread the word out there and attract guests just like Becca to come on and share their expertise and knowledge with all of us. If you bookmark d2dlive.com, you can see what next week's topic is going to be and who our guest is going to be. And finally, for some of you who may be newer out there and investigating self-publishing for the very first time, you can go to draft2digital, that's draft2digital.com, and sign up for a free Draft to Digital account. Once again, Becca, thank you so very, very much for your time. It's always a pleasure seeing you. I'm so happy I got to see you last week and give you a big hug.
It was so much fun to see you. And just on a side note, I use Draft to Digital, and that's why I come on here, because I think it's been a great experience for me as a wide author. And yeah, highly recommend. Big thumbs up.
Well, we appreciate you and everything that you do for the entire community. Yeah. For our viewers out there, thanks you guys for joining us week in and week out. For those of you, I saw some new names and faces out there today, so welcome. We're so happy that you're part of this community. For everybody else, just again, thank you. We'll see you here, same time, same place next week. Thanks, y'all, so very much.
Ebooks are great, but there's just something about having your words in print. Something you can hold in your hands, put on a shelf, sign for a reader. That's why we created D2D Print, a print-on-demand service that was built for you. We have free, beautiful templates to give your book a pro look, and we can even convert your ebook cover into a full wraparound cover for print. So many options for you and your books. And you can get started right now at draft2digital.com.